Hello friends, I am Dr. Krishna Prasad, cardiac surgeon, Medicover Hospitals. In this video, I would like to discuss about proteins. I have done a couple of other videos about carbohydrates and fats, and basically proteins is the third most important food component. And of the five common food components, which are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, minerals, and vitamins. Proteins, if you can think about, they are the most important thing, most important element in the construction of our body. They form the framework. So, like for instance, when we are building a house, we have the iron mesh into which a concrete is filled. Proteins are both the iron mesh and the concrete, and they make the structure of the body. So if you take skin, muscle, bone, anything including hair, everything that we can see, everything we can feel, most of it is made out of the structure is made out of proteins. Now proteins, if you look at them chemically, they are a chain of what are called as amino acids. You might have heard of this term called amino acids. They are very small molecules which are organic molecules present in most of nature. And this is where we think the sea in olden times was the origin of life, where organic molecules started coming together and organizing themselves. And one of the first molecules that formed were proteins. So these amino acids are 20 in number. There are of course other extra amino acids, but most important are 20 in number. And they are divided into two parts. One is what is called as essential amino acids, and other are non-essential amino acids. Non-essential amino acids are amino acids which can be created in our own body. But essential amino acids, they cannot be created in our body, and they have to be consumed from outside. And the source of amino acids is our food. Most of the food items that we consume on a regular basis, doesn't matter which diet you take, Western or Indian diet, most of these diets have a good portion of proteins in them. So when we consume these proteins, they go into the stomach, and where they are broken down into a complex protein is broken down into slightly simpler proteins. But most of the digestion, again, like any other food component, happens in the intestines, where the proteins are divided into peptides, which are short chains of amino acids, and then further into diamino acids, and then finally into amino acids. And these amino acids are absorbed into the blood and reassembled wherever they are required, in whichever organ or part of the body they are required. They are sent there, and those they get embedded in the proteins of the body. So here a very wonderful thing we need to know is that any food component that we are eating is being broken down by the body into its most basic component, and then reabsorbed and then reassembled on the other side. And while we are reassembling, it is putting a label on them as it belongs to this body, and hence this process is important. And when this process fails, we think that could lead to autoimmune diseases, where body is attacking its own self. That's a different topic. But daily requirement for protein is around 1 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of a person. So if someone is 60 kilos, they need something between 60 grams to 75 grams of protein per day. The richest sources of protein in vegetarian diet are pulses, beans, and soya, paneer. Milk is also a good source of protein. Whereas non-vegetarian diet, any muscle component is good source of protein. Now, there are studies which show that animal protein is bad for health, but again, that's a topic for a different video. For now, I will keep it simple and talk about only proteins. Proteins are never used for energy purposes. They are only for structural purposes. So when we do exercise and we are trying to build muscle, and when we see all these people with abs and big biceps, what they have done is they have consumed the protein, and that protein has gone and deposited itself in the muscles, and hence the muscle size has increased in size. And that is the reason why many gyms recommend whey protein, which is again a vegetarian protein, but a good source, and they recommend protein, and that protein will help in building muscle. But here we have to understand one important thing is that the mechanism in our body has a limitation. So if you suddenly say, I will consume today some 400, 500 grams of protein, and then that will get embedded in my body, it doesn't happen like that. If there is a requirement, even if there is a requirement, if you go beyond 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram, most of the protein will be broken down and passed in the urine, and very little of it, the extra protein, will get embedded in the body. So it is a misconcept to eat more protein and then think that it will get assimilated into the body. Even when someone is emaciated or cachectic, what we call as when they had severe weight loss, in those situations also we build the protein slowly. We never give them huge doses of protein. It is not like a deficiency where you give the dose and then it gets corrected. Proteins work in a totally different way. It is very important to understand this point particularly when consuming proteins. Taking proteins alone as a diet is called Atkins diet. It was tried in the 70s and 80s. It is good in the short term to control sugars and reduce obesity, but it has been definitely proven to be bad in the long term, and incidence of heart problems has increased in people who consume Atkins diet. So it's not a good thing to have only protein or high protein diet for a very long time. So again, we come back to the point as what is the best way to consume proteins? Proteins are already there in most of the foods, and again I repeat this point that natural foods as they occur in nature, if we consume them just the way they are, then they form a very good way of maintaining the similar balance inside our body. Nature has already decided how much of protein should be there, how much of fat should be there, how much of carbohydrates should be there in each food item. And if we consume such a balanced diet, then our body also will get the right balance of this thing. So don't be fooled by advertisements which say this is protein rich, this will increase your bone density, this will make you strong, kids will grow faster. Most of these health drinks and all only are supplements. So I give the example, when we buy a liter of milk, we ask the milkman to pour a little bit extra, and that extra is a supplement that you are taking. So just that supplement will not make it increase the quantity that much. Similarly, the most important source of protein is your regular diet. Even cereals, rice, wheat, jowar, they are good sources of protein, because just by the sheer quantity we consume, the amount of protein we derive from them is high. Equally, pulses, vegetables are good rich sources of protein. Of course, non-vegetarian diet is again, it's made of protein. So these are the rich sources, and it is very important to understand how much protein we need per day and not to consume in excess. And only in starvation and extreme fasting situations, proteins are broken down and made into sugar, and that sugar will be used into energy usage. So proteins are not usually used in as an energy source, but only in extreme situations they are used. Hope this video makes your understanding of proteins better. And if you have any comments or questions, please do post them underneath. Thank you.